what happened last night was indeed this consensus towards von der Leyen. However, no, the EPP coming with this surprise announcement that they also want a council, part of the mandate of the European Council. What do you make of that?
Well, it's how the EPP works. They always want more. I mean, they are the natural party of power in Brussels, if you can put it that way. And I think we should also not underestimate the fact that if there had been a deal yesterday, it would basically have been pre-cooked at the G7. So basically it would have been Meloni, Scholz, Macron coming to see the other 24 leaders saying, this is the deal, please sign at the dotted line. Well, that didn't work, especially because most of the EPP leaders at the dinner last night, they were not at the G7, so they wanted their pound of flesh as well. So there are certain dynamics there, but ultimately there will almost certainly be a deal next week. And that's still a good outcome, in my opinion.
Another conclusion last night is that it's very clear that they have this urgency to get a deal done ahead of the French election. Ultimately, what do you think of the potential impact of this surprise announcement from Emmanuel Macron at the EU level? Because 5 years ago, he was the guy that negotiated the top jobs.
Well, look, I mean, he clearly threw a hand grenade into the French political establishment, which has had significant implications. It has injected a high level of uncertainty into France. Obviously, financial markets have responded, and it will have repercussions also at the EU level. Certainly, Macron is not in a position to block any deal or spring any surprises. Arguably, he needs a deal. He needs continuity. And if you ask me, he'll also be quite favorably disposed to having Ursula von der Leyen at the Commission presidency going forward, because it basically means that a German has one of the top jobs in the EU, and therefore it will be less likely that a German will go for the other next big presidency that opens at the European level, namely the ECB in 2027, which of course is the election that Macron really cares about.
Very interesting. I have not thought about the timing of the ECB with the presidency, the presidential election in France. But returning to Brussels, ultimately what our audience cares about is what these names mean for policy going forward. Assuming that von der Leyen stays as president of the European Commission, and now that we have a right-leaning parliament, what does that mean for policy? What should we expect from the EU for the next 5 years?
Well, a high degree of continuity, first of all, which I think should also be reflected in the fact that, yes, there was a gains for the right-wing parties, but they were not big. And the existing centrist majorities essentially persist. Now, we can debate what the party discipline of these party families will be in the European Parliament, but if they vote together, they have the numbers. So continuity, I think, is key. But at the same time, it is true that von der Leyen, who's basically, in my opinion, a minority government leader, she can now go to the European Parliament, and on some subjects, she might be able to find an alternative majority to the right in Parliament, meaning sort of not relying constantly on the centrist majority that is certainly going to give her the presidency.